Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over once again the various types and how they'll function in Kindred Fates. Now, you might be getting a sense of deja vu if you're a quite sexy individual and have been subscribed for quite a while, as I did do a video going over the various typings a while back, which I highly recommend you watch, as it'll give you a level of context for this video. The reason I want to touch on the type chart again is because there's been some updated information regarding how each type will function. The previous video on the topic had within it a lot of speculation, as the type descriptions were very short. So with that being said, thanks to Dragnaran and Berry Bandit for suggesting I take a look at these. So I'm not going to spend too much time going over how the types work in reaction to one another with regards to advantages and disadvantages or anything like that, because like I said, we've already done that and I don't want to be redundant. Also note that these descriptions are subject to change as stated in the document itself. Anyway, so let's begin with the fire type description. Fire, zone/hit and run. Fire kinfolk's playstyle is twofold. As a zoner, they use their abilities to take control over the battlefield, whether it be to force an opponent into close combat by trapping both combatants in a ring of fire, or split the battlefield in two using a firewall to keep their distance from its opponent. Once control over the battlefield is established, fire kinfolk will mostly use a hit and run combat tactic. They would run over the battlefield waiting for an opening or an ability to be ready to unleash a powerful attack on its opponent, before starting to run again, repeating the process. So this is pretty similar to what I had in mind, though it works for long and short range attacks. Basically, it's a dash in, dash out, burst damage kind of build. We also get a sort of semblance of how the long range version of this would work by watching this K-Knight gameplay here. Now, water types are defined as being combo and flow based, and I wasn't too sure exactly how that would work in relation to fire in the previous video, though I speculated perhaps combo locks and or stun locks. So it'll be nice to read this description and get more info. Water, combo/flow. Water kinfolk's attack strategy is as fluid as their related element. It can be calm and composed as a stream slowly flowing down under a peaceful sky, or as brutal and violent as the rapids of a raging river coursing down the mountainside. Their main goal is to deal as many hits as possible in quick succession, closing the distance, gracefully dodging incoming attacks, then unleashing a flow of hits on their opponents to create devastating combos. So after reading that, it does make a lot of sense how water will beat fire without a damage multiplier. Basically, fire types want to dash in and out and keep distance when not attacking, whereas water types excel as closing the distance and overwhelming their opponent. Next is a Gaea type. It's defined as a token/minion based playstyle, and its description reads, Gaea kinfolks use the power of nature to overwhelm their opponents. Calling on their surroundings, they will use an overflowing stream of life to summon minions over the battlefield. Their main goal is to swarm their enemy with a large number of targets, making it difficult for them to focus on the source of the attack. A Gaea kinfolk could try to stay away from the actual combat, relying on its minions to do the dirty work, or it can even be directly facing its opponents using its minion for support. So with this style of combat in mind, water types would have an issue going up against Gaea types, as they might end up wasting their attacks on the minions instead of the source. Think about what happens when you're playing League of Legends and your minion wave is behind you and you're trying to attack the enemy champion while they have all their minions in front of them. It makes it hard to land certain skill shots like Blitzcrank's Q, and the small enemy that each minion does to you ends up building really fast. Now, the air type's defined as a rush/glass cannon playstyle, and its description reads, Air kinfolk are as strong and powerful as the stormy winds, but unfortunately it comes at a cost. Using their speed and agility, they will quickly close the distance, separating themselves from their target and unleashing incredibly powerful attacks. Their goal is to make sure the combat ends as quickly as possible. However, even with all that power, air kinfolk are as fragile as glass, sacrificing toughness for agility and offensive power. Even the slightest hit on an air kinfolk can have devastating effects. So this sort of also lines up with what I speculated on in the previous video. While it seems that they're similar to fire types in the idea that they want to rush in, fire types are going to rush out, while air types are just going to want to rush in and finish you as fast as possible. It makes sense why they're weak to mecha, a more tanky yet powerful typing. Now, mecha kinfolk are described as being tank/bruiser-based creatures, and their descriptions read, Mecha kinfolk are as sturdy as a knight in armor. Their incredible defense makes them able to endure hits that would instantly knock out other kinfolk. But beware of their sword, it surely will fall upon the opponent's head. Their main goal is to resist any and all incoming attacks before retaliating with all their might. Mecha kinfolk strive in the midst of battle, taking hits while also giving them back to their opponent. Unfortunately, similar to a knight in plate armor, mecha kinfolk are not very fast or agile. They have slow attack and movement speed. Their abilities take longer to recover. And then there's just a note here on the side. To not just make them the strongest type, they will have drawbacks such as slow speed, large cooldowns, slow movement, etc. Basically, they're like Garen from League. They'll likely have large health pools with powerful hits, or for those of you playing Temtem, think of something like Tuvine. It's sturdy yet slow. It deals a significant amount of damage with its various techniques. It doesn't really use any whittling attack, nor does it really use many attacks to boost its attacking power. It's just a strong tank. Those type of stall tactics are reserved for the Earth type, which are described as stall and crowd control based. Earth kinfolk are as immovable as rock itself. Their main goal is to make a battle last as long as it possibly can, chipping away slowly at their opponent. Using their abilities, the Earth kinfolk will try to prevent their enemy from moving freely over the battlefield, controlling their action as best they can. It doesn't matter how mighty their opponent is, as long as an Earth kinfolk can keep it under control, it will prevail. They usually have large hit points in order to outlive their opponents. So a note here from Andrew is that a big inspiration of this playstyle is one of Rob's favorite strategies in Pokemon with Blissey. Place Toxic on an enemy while consistently healing yourself. Not that that will be an exact example, just where the thought came from. So that description gives you a general idea of how they'll work, essentially using status conditions, heals, or other means of outlasting their opponents. But on a side note, come on, Rob. Everyone knows that Chansey with Eviolite is better than Blissey. Gosh! Anyway, next up is the Light type, which is focused on buffs and sustain. Its description reads, as radiant as the sun, Light kinfolk tend to bring the best out of their allies or even themselves. Their main goal will be to improve one's abilities or give them a chance to stay in the fight for as long as they possibly can. During a fight, Light kinfolk will use its abilities to improve its offenses, defenses, or general combat abilities. Even after taking a hit, they'll make sure to close some of the wounds before going on the offensive again. So for those of you who are fellow weebs, the Light type kind of reminds me of Wendy from Fairy Tail, where she can buff her allies or invigorate her own abilities. Light types will likely make really good support, so they'll definitely be something noteworthy. Next up's a Dark type, which to me sounds like the most fun, being based on debuffs and trickery. Dark kinfolk are all about deceiving their enemy. Their main goal is to hamper one's ability to fight while sneaking in on their enemies to strike it in the back. During a fight, they will conjure the dark arts to lower their opponent's offensive or defensive abilities and take control over the fight. But beware of a seemingly cornered dark kinfolk. You might very well be playing right into its hand. Who knows? That small dark kinfolk cowering on the ground might be luring you into thinking it's almost defeated, but it also might be preparing its next move to turn the tides of the fight in its favor in a totally unexpected way. There's another note here. Weird example of trickery, but back in the day when I'd play League of Legends a ton, Fizz was always my go-to because even at 5% health, I could bait the enemy after me to finish me off, but absolutely nail them in a matter of seconds when they thought they had won the fight, taking advantage of someone who thinks they have the upper hand. So honestly, this sounds like my type of kinfolk if you ask me. The comparison to Fizz is also really good because Fizz mains are all scum, and I hate them. No, but seriously, this kind of reminds me of a build in Dark Souls where you wear this ring. I don't remember the exact stipulations, but you wear this ring that buffs your attack when you're at low health. Then you grab the giant-ass weapon that I think is like the Asylum Demon's weapon, and you wait for people to invade you, and you just backstab them. I believe you have to be like naked for some reason. I can't remember the exact strat, but basically after you beat Artorias in the DLC, there's this one big PvP area in Dark Souls, and there's one spot to hide, and you just let someone invade. You know where they're going to spawn. You hide behind the wall. You go behind them, and you freaking kill them. It's hilarious. So the Null type pretty much sounds exactly how I thought it would be. I think I used Mario from Mario Kart as an example of a middle road sort of balanced racer, but they used Mario for Smash in their example, so that's probably a better example considering it's a fighting game. But anyway, its description reads, Null kinfolks are jacks of all trades, but unfortunately masters of none. Their playstyle will be mostly generic, but their lean will help define their role in battle. Of all types, Null kinfolks are the most balanced of them all, making them the perfect generalist kinfolks. They might not be the fastest or the most powerful kinfolks, but they can use in pretty much any situation. Now, being a jack of all trades could actually be a good thing, as it allows you to perhaps not be the best at something, but be good enough at something that the opponent is weak to. To explain a little more clearly, if you're a martial artist who does a variety of martial arts like judo, Japanese jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, etc., you're likely not going to be the best person at any of those specific arts. It's just statistically improbable. But if you do know multiple martial arts, if you come across someone who, let's say, solely does taekwondo and he's really good at it, which taekwondo focuses primarily on kicks, they'll have little groundwork knowledge or takedown defense, so you can use your Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills to take them down and exploit that weakness. If you're up against a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, let's just say, you can use your striking skills from taekwondo or from Japanese jiu-jitsu or your takedown defense from judo to take that to your advantage. My point is that you may not be the best at any particular skill, but you have the tools to work around people that are essentially one-trick ponies. Now, sorry that was a little random tangent, but I hope it explains sort of this idea well. Anyway, so that was the more updated information regarding the Kindred Fates type chart. Like I said before, if you get a chance, please make sure to check out my older video on the topic, as it goes much more into how the types actually will match up to each other based on the speculation, given the lack of damage multipliers. And with all that being said, make sure to like and subscribe and join our monster taming Discord, and follow me on Twitter at GymLeaderEd. Until next time, peace.